I can't explain how much I love that.
I feel it right in my spilkus and my connecticozoid. Right
that, sir, was. Can I say it, or is it wouldn't be anti-Semitic because I love Jewish people, right? If I like that was so Jewish.
Yeah, it's a little anti-Semitic. Yeah.
No, it's not.
I mean, it's iffy.
I'm part Jewish, and I'm not
I don't care.
I love Jewish people.
I'm half Jewish. I don't care, but I don't know what it's.
Mashugana. How'd you say it?
Mashugana. You mashugana.
Gotcha. All right, let's get into this, man. I hope everybody's having a great night tonight. I love you guys for real. Thank you so much for everything, all the support, all the love. You guys sharing my videos. Because of you, I am now at 27,000 subscribers on YouTube. I don't know if I told you guys that, and I'm right at the 10,000 mark on Twitter, and my Instagram is at 42,000 people, and yeah, that is crazy, straight up. So thank you guys. We got a good show.
Somebody started out hot right away. I can't believe he said 8-year-old should be able to have a sex change. I mean, he said some interesting stuff. We might not even get to that part. I just want to show how lost he was.
You ready?
Lost. Yeah. So
if you guys haven't figured out by the title, we are talking about Joe Biden.
Sleepy Joe.
Sleepy Joe.
Sleepy Pro Joe.
Yeah. And by the way, you guys, the reason why, okay, look, I don't like to talk crap about people too much. I try not to, but good and evil are running rampant. And someone made it clear to me in the comments of another post that instead of saying the left, I should just say good and evil. And that is very true. That is very true. It should be just the good and the evil. And the reason, I talk about the people that I talk about is because I believe them to be evil. Just going to say, and not just because of the things that they say, but the things that they do, the things that they get behind, it's evil to me. That's what I feel. So, yeah, let's jump right on into this.
All right. So I talked a little bit about when I went live earlier, but just to give an idea on the hypocrisy of the way things are portrayed. If you look up Donald Trump town hall, so you just say Trump town hall, it gives unedited option, unedited option, unedited option, unedited option, and then they start having some of the clips and sound bites from it, which can always be skewed either way. So the Trump town hall, you could watch. I mean, it's hard to take segments, which to me, this shows that he killed it because they can't even spin it in a really bad way, that he answered the way they wanted. They can't take crappy sound bites. Now, with that said, we're going to go ahead and say what happens if you're going to look at the Joe Biden ones, because what's that?
I wonder
because a lot of people were like, we talked about how Joe Biden ran on for hours on end and had no point whatsoever. So what's going to help somebody that couldn't reach a damn point? Nothing, but, of course, bites. Little itty bitty bites. So
let's pull it on up.
Pull it on up, Cash. Okay. So to show you, in order to get to the actual clip, first off, is it now gone? It is. It was the second one. Now it's the third one. So it's been bumped down. So there's only one. It's 3 hours and 17 minutes, which means people are probably going to go 3 hours and 17 minutes. Screw that. I'm going to go for the sound bites. So all it is soundbite, 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 reviews on how he would have handled the pandemic. So there's only one that you can actually find of him doing the full thing, and it's got 2 hours of fluff before it. I think that's a little odd.
Yeah, just a little.
They did what Trump would have done if he was there, which is interrupt him and find little segments for him to speak during. So, anywho, that's how we start. And then you can go from there because it's absolutely brutal. Let's, do you want to we'll go the first thing with COVID. So the ultimate thing that we talked about when we talked about the way Trump was just attacked the whole time. And then you look at Biden. Biden was given softballs. Biden was coddled through the whole thing, and he was never interrupted, which actually was probably a mistake by Snuffleupagus to not actually interrupt him. He needed the help. He needed to be chopped off because every time when he finished a question, he was literally like, did I answer your question?
Yep.
And we're going to get to the point where he pulls out a notebook, which is hilarious.
Yep.
Okay. Let me make sure I find the right one where I'm starting on this one. I should get rid of the other one so I don't get confused. Yeah, I was just watching the recap again. I watched it yesterday, and I'm laughing because it literally makes 0 sense. All right, here's the first one. Coming in hot, Cash. Hot, I mean a little bit slowly.
You just call me hot.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, my side
Thank
piece.
you.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, crap. I did it again. Son of a
no
bitch.
audio. Take it off. Do it again.
I hate this. Son of a biscuit.
God dang it. My green screen's coming in hot. Why is it doing that?
Coming in hot. All right. Let's try that again. Click the little button.
Is that better? Yeah. There we go.
Share audio. All right. Here we go.
Let's do this.
I will mute my microphone.
Way like a miracle. He's still saying those things.
Before you go to the future, can I follow up on looking backward just a little bit? You did have an op-ed in January where you warned to the seriousness of the pandemic, but there's no record of you calling for social distancing, limited social gatherings, mandatory masks.
Not back then.
In January, February.
No, in
right.
January, February. No, that's correct. There wasn't. That came at the end of March, and then I laid out a detailed plan relative to school openings in June and July. And I talked about, by that time, the science was becoming clearer and clearer of how this was spreading so rapidly. But the president kept denying that. If you notice, from March on.
Okay, wait a minute. Pause this.
Meetings, I started wearing masks.
Okay, run it all the way back and turn your volume up because everybody's saying volume up because it is very low. And I thought it was too. I just thought it was me, but people were saying it too.
It's all the way up on my end. Son of a bitch.
Even on your computer?
Yeah, it's all the way up.
All right, just let it play then. It's okay.
Well, part of it is because he's Sleepy Joe for a reason.
True that.
Let me try it one more time, and I'll keep my mic on, and hopefully there won't be an echo, and it'll just pick up the audio.
Okay.
Try that. Son of a. Okay, let's try it now. And action.
Way like a miracle. He's still saying those things.
Before you go to the future, can I follow up on looking backward just a little bit? You did have an op-ed in January where you warned to the seriousness of the pandemic.
Let it ride.
There's no record of you calling for social distancing, limited social gatherings, mandatory masks.
Not back then.
In January, February.
No, in January, February. No, that's correct. There wasn't. That came at the end of March, and then I laid out a detailed plan relative to school openings in June and July. And I talked about, by that time, the science was becoming clearer and clearer of how this was spreading so rapidly. But the president kept denying that. If you notice, from March on, I stopped doing big meetings. I started wearing masks. So it was at a time when the science was saying, and his key people, Dr. Fauci, were saying, you should be taking these precautions. So what we should be doing now, there should be a national standard instead of leaving this up. Remember what the president said to the governors. Well, they're on their own. It's not my responsibility. The governors can do what they need to do, not my responsibility. It is the presidential responsibility to lead. And he didn't do that. He didn't talk about what needed to be done because he kept worrying, in my view, about the stock market. He worried if he talked about how bad this could be unless we took these precautionary actions, then in fact, the market would go down. And his barometer of success in the economy is the market. Thirdly, what we didn't do is the president had an opportunity to open and allow schools and businesses to stay open if they got the kind of help they needed. So the Congress passed a couple $1 trillion worth of help. And what happened was most of that money, significant portion of that money, went to the very wealthiest corporations in the country, didn't get to the mom and pop stores. So you had 1 in 5, 1 in 6 minority businesses closing, many of them permanently, people being laid off. And then what happened was when the first tranche of the first round of money for unemployment, enhanced unemployment, went by, he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. And to the best of my knowledge, and I mean this sincerely, I can't think, I've been around for a lot of presidents, and you know a lot of presidents in the crisis. I don't ever remember one never calling the House and Senate, Republicans, Democrats together.
Let's look forward a little bit. You said that you would lock down the economy only if the scientists said it was necessary.
Well, by the way, that wasn't the context here. They said, would I lock down the economy if science said so? I said I'd follow science. But I don't think there's a need to lock down.
But I want to press you on that point.
Sure.
You've been in the Oval Office. for 8 years with President Obama, he would always say that only the hard to solve problems get to his desk. What is most likely to happen is the scientists will disagree. The scientists will disagree with the economists. So the question is, how are you going to decide this? Who are you going to listen to? And how can you contain the pandemic without crushing the economy?
Well, you can contain the pandemic by being rational and not crush the economy. For example, I laid out a plan how you can open businesses. You can open businesses and schools if, in fact, you provide them the guidance that they need as well as the money to be able to do it. What's happening now is we know, for example, if you can open a business and you could have a sign on the door saying safe to come in, that's why people aren't going anyway even when they're open, and say because you have social distancing, you have plastic barriers, when you go to the cashier, you have.
Okay, we're gonna take a
There's
time.
something wrong with him. There's something wrong with him.
I messaged Cash on the side of the private chat. I go, this is where he goes off the rails. There is not a rational thought past
Not one, bro. He's like, I don't get how people can still listen to him speak and see how he's just going and still think that he would be fit to run the country.
He can't even scratch his eye. Like he literally, and I don't want to make fun of him. He's
Right.
an elderly man. He reminds me of a grandparent that is literally like they don't have motor functions.
His train of thought kept switching.
And he would close his eyes to reframe, and he's talking about Trump never calling the House Republic. How do we think the stimulus happened? Like, and then he has daily briefings with the press. He's literally he was in full communication with the country. It made zero sense whatsoever. Like, I don't.
You kind of almost feel bad for him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I do. I really do,
man.
That's why the VP debate means so much, because you're looking at Kamala that's got to be filling in for whatever the hell this guy is talking about.
She's gonna even get lost, bro. Like, you can't follow up behind him. You'll be done. You'll have to switch from thing to thing when you're talking with him, and then also remind him where he is.
So the next thing we could talk about was it the mask? Can't mandate masks, maybe? I don't know. I think it was a mask thing. So we could either do masks next, or we could talk about when the guy asked the question. And I want to play the whole 6 minute clip.
That one.
All right, hold on. All right, I'm gonna switch it up.
I want everyone to listen to that one that didn't see it, because a lot of people they missed it or didn't want to watch it because it was Biden, which is understandable. But you guys got to see this.
Always know the person you're going against. Always.
Yeah.
All right. This is funny. Joe Biden pressed. All right. I like that I'm gonna press you real quick, Joe. No, you didn't press anything. You literally just gave him another softball, and you already know why I pulled the screen out from the bottom.
Yes, I do. I wasn't gonna say anything, but yes, I do. It's all right. It's okay. We all mess up sometimes.
All right, we're ready.
Let's do it.
Mute.
From Cedric Humphrey. He's a student from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, progressive Democrat.
Don't jump, Cedric. You look like you're way up there.
I'll be okay. Thank you, George. And good evening, former Vice President Biden. Many people believe that the true swing demographic in this election will be Black voters under the age of 30. Not because they'll be voting for Trump, but because they won't vote at all. I myself have had this exact same conflict. So my question for you then is, besides you ain't Black, what do you have to say to young Black voters who see voting for you as further participation in a system that continually fails to protect them?
Well, I say, first of all, as my buddy John Lewis said, it's a sacred opportunity and right to vote. You can make a difference. If young Black women and men vote, you can determine the outcome of this election. Not a joke. You can do that. And the next question is, am I worthy of your vote? Can I earn your vote? And the answer is, there's two things I think that I care, and I've demonstrated I care about my whole career. One is, in addition to dealing with a criminal justice system to make it fair and make it more decent, we have to be able to put Black Americans in a position to be able to gain wealth, generate wealth. And so you look at what that entails. It entails everything from early education. That's why I'm supporting making sure that we in Title I schools, as you know, schools with the least tax base to be able to support their schools. I increased the funding for them from 15 to to $45 billion.
The confusion on this kid's face starting at this point when Joe goes off the rails is absolutely brilliant. No emotion, just straight up, what in God's name?
Blank.
Just
Blank. Go for it.
That allows every teacher in that school to make up to $60,000. And the problem now is they're leaving the schools. They're not there. We're short about 1.5 million teachers, 1.25 million teachers. Number two, every 3 and 4 and 5-year-old will go to school, not daycare, school. And what all the great universities, including the one you've go to or went to, in fact, talks about in the last 8 years, what's happened. What happens when you let them go to school, they make up rapidly whatever shortcoming they had in terms of their education prior to that. They have not heard as many words spoken, et cetera, et cetera. What happens is that the studies show that 58% will increase by 58% their chance of going all through 12 years of school and going through successfully. We'll also provide for the ability to bring in social workers and school psychologists. We have one school psychologist in America now for every 1,507 kids. It should be 1 to 500, not just in schools that are poor, but in all schools. Because we learned that, for example, drug abuse doesn't cause.
I want to be very clear. I've looked up these
What
numbers.
the fuck is he talking about?
I can't find any of these numbers. These are literally like statistics, and we know how he is with statistics. There's no way he's pulling this off the top of his head from some back page knowledge that he knows. None of this makes any sense whatsoever. And he's
you know why? Wait, you want to know why? Let me tell you guys something. Let me just say it. See, he's pulling numbers out of his ass. Totally.
We're short 1.5 million teachers.
Check this out, though.
1.25 million teachers.
That's how stupid they think that their voters are. They think they're never gonna go and check out these numbers. I bet you this is gonna sound horrible if it's true, but I'll bet you any money there's a bunch of people that support Biden that are gonna repeat these numbers as if they are facts.
Yeah, like right now we're short like 1.5 million or maybe 1.25 million. We're short a lot of teachers right now because 1 out of 412 students with 536 different administrators, they don't have those. It's because of Trump.
It's creepy.
But we got to make it. You got to make it to the end because the end is where the magic happens.
Let's do it.
Mental illness causes drug abuse, the failure to get hold of people and deal with their anxieties. In addition to that, I provide for $70 billion for HBCUs for them to be able to have the wherewithal to do what other universities can do because they don't have the kind of foundational support they need.
Lion mother.
That would allow them, for example, like we did in our administration, the president allowed me to go down and we awarded a cybersecurity laboratory ability to compete for a cybersecurity laboratory. The federal government spends billions of dollars a year on universities.
Wait.
Best kept secret.
Did you? I missed that the first time I heard it. Did you just see how he corrected himself? We went down there to give a contract, give the ability for the HBCU to compete. So they didn't win. They didn't give it. They go, we just let you in the game. We made sure you didn't win, but we let you in the game.
Rewind that 10 seconds. Rewind it 10 seconds.
Okay.
Because that dude, I'm telling you, this guy he's a freaking liar. And I wonder if he's lying on purpose or if it's on accident. Because this is crazy. Keep it going.
All right.
Like we did in our administration, the president allowed me to go down and we awarded a cybersecurity laboratory ability to compete for cybersecurity laboratory. The federal government spends billions of dollars a year on universities because they are the best kept secret or where most of the major inventions come out of. And so that school now will be able to produce young black women and men who are going to go into a field of the future that's burgeoning, cybersecurity. And that's what's going to help a great deal. In addition to that, if you're a young man about to graduate or you graduated from school and you want to own your first home or it's awful hard to get the money, and depending on the background, what's your economic background is, to get a down payment. So we're going to guarantee first-term home buyers a $15,000 down payment for first-term home buyers. In addition to that, what all the studies now show, and I've been arguing this for a long time, is young black entrepreneurs are just as successful as white entrepreneurs or anyone else given a shot. But you can't get the money. Where do you go to get the startup money? So what President Obama and I did, we had a program where we took $1.5 billion and we invested it in all the SBAs around the country, in the state SBAs, small business associations, and that generated $30 billion came off the sideline. Because if you have a guarantee of $200,000 for your new startup enterprise, young entrepreneur, you're going to be able to attract, if it's government money as a guarantee, you'll be able to attract another $100,000. It generated $30 billion. Well, I'm changing that program, and I'll get this done without much trouble, I believe, in the Congress, from $1.5 billion to $30 billion to $30 billion. That'll take $300 billion off the sideline and grow, because and for example, if you, in fact, and I were the same age and we split our differences, government money as a guarantee, you'd be able to attract another $100,000. It generated $30 billion. Well, I'm changing that program, and I'll get this done without much trouble, I believe, in the Congress, from $1.5 billion to $30 billion to $30 billion. That'll take $300 billion off the sideline and grow, because and for example, if you, in fact, and I were the same age and we split our differences, and we were the same age, and we went to the same builder to buy us each the same home. But my home was in a white neighborhood.
This dude's tripping, bro.
And yours is in a black neighborhood. Same exact home. Your home will start off being valued 29% less than my home. Yet your insurance for that home will be higher.
Talking about?
You'll be taxed more for it. We've got to end this. That's what got me involved in politics in the first place. Thing called redlining.
Black people get taxed more than white people.
So much that we can do so much to change the circumstances to give people a real opportunity.
Cedric,
Did he just say he got into politics because of redlining? I remember him being
all types of shit right now, bro.
29 years old. He called himself the token young guy in politics. He didn't give a shit about any other race. And when he'd been in politics for 15 years, he talked about racial jungles. He didn't give a shit. He didn't even know what the redlining wasn't even a thing. They didn't know what that was then. It was just something that white politicians like him used to do.
Bro, did he just tell this kid that he got to pay more taxes because he's black?
I think so. That's why I call him Captain Panderpants now.
Did you
Captain
hear that?
Panderpants.
That is not true. That statement that he
There's not a black tax?
Among many others.
I thought there was a black tax.
Bro. That shit is crazy, bro. Come on, keep it rolling.
Sorry, I got distracted.
Did you hear what you needed?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just saying, do you hear what you needed to hear?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot more. If you're going to hang around afterwards, I'll tell you more.
Okay.
Let's get it.
No, but I really mean it. It is the key. Look, this is the way every other. How do most, like my dad? He lost his job up in Scranton, and it took him 3 years to be able. He moved down to Delaware, to Claymont, Delaware, a little steel town, and sent us home to our grandpop to live with him. We finally got back. We lived in our apartments, became 6 and 8 housing. Much later, it wasn't. It was just normal apartments. But it took him 5 years to be able to buy a home. Well, we bought a 3-bedroom home with 4 kids and a grandpop living with us, but it accumulated wealth. You built up wealth. That's how middle-class folks make it. They build up wealth. Then he was able to borrow a little against that to be able to help us get to school, those kinds of things. It's about accumulating wealth. And you're behind an 8 ball. The vast majority of people of color are behind an 8 ball. And it's the same.
Is that a cocaine reference?
That's been voted. What's happened? You go to the bank if you're a black businessman, and the president fired the only inspector general to oversee all this help coming from the Congress. And what happens? You go in and they say, do you have an account here? No. Do you have a credit card with this? No. Have you borrowed from us before? No. We bail these suckers out. They're not liable for any of the money, but they still won't rent it. They still won't lend it to you. We got to change that. It's about accumulating wealth.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos.
Okay, wait a minute. First off,
that was a dog whistle. Talking about black people being behind an 8 ball of cocaine. I heard it.
He just tried to get, you know what he was doing? He was setting people up so Kamala could lock him up. Black man get behind the 8 ball, Kamala lock him up. That's what just happened right now. Allegedly.
That kid right there legit was like, yeah, he's like, I heard what I need to hear. And then Joe went on for another minute and he's like,
Trump this year for sure. He just won one for us. Straight
And
up.
honestly, and he was never going to consider voting for Trump before that. He's like, they're giving me $50 to ask this question. I already know that I'm voting for Biden. And then he's like, shit.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not.
Backfired. Hardcore. That shit was sickening right now.
Stick around later.
There's just, bro, there was so much that man said that was not true. Numbers that were inaccurate and
Not
brought
even
up.
inaccurate. They were made up. There's a difference between that was literally just he was just grasping at random shit.
Yep.
Captain Panderpants. And he really never answered the question what he's doing for black people. Like he would answer it and what he's doing for certain economic things. And he's like, and that helps you people. Did you just say you people?
He did. He said you people. I almost thought he was about to say the word that I always say that people get mad that I say.
Which one?
Starts with an N, ends with the G. See, if I would have put the ER, the hard ER makes it racist.
You know that back in the day, allegedly, I'm sure he said it once before. There's no way he hasn't.
Allegedly, he did.
But allegedly, I would say allegedly Trump probably has at one point too. Let's be honest. There were people.
No, if Trump said it, he probably said, "Hey, you don't call them a." Trump is good.
Oh my God, that was the most that was actually the first part that I watched, and I went back when I was listening. I'm like, is this real? Is this real life right now? Like, is this how he's explaining? And then and that whole thing at the end, like, stick around. We'll talk later.
No, that kid's about to run out of there like a bat out of hell. As soon as it's over, he's gone.
Do you know why? Do you know why Captain Panderpants wants that? Because that is going to be the photo op that he wanted to save his ass from whatever the hell that answer was. Like, oh, look, I stuck around later and really explained it to this young gentleman that went to this college or maybe did or might have thought about going to the college or maybe graduated from the college. I don't know. Do black people go to college? I don't know.
And if you get a house, you got to pay 29% more than I'd have to pay for the same exact house. In the same exact place. Like, come on, bro.
So people are talking a little bit about
wait. The college that you might go to or went to or still at or maybe going to be to in the future. Like, what? What the hell did he just say? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say. I don't know what I was gonna say. It's embarrassing, is what I was.
That was horrible. That was horrible, bro. I feel bad for him, and by him I mean the kid. He had to sit there and think that. It was horrible, bro.
What I was going to say, but somebody's mentioning because we talk about some of the things that Biden has said in the past, and there's some really blatant things, and I'm a big believer in truth. And he's done some like crime bill. You can go day on and day over and over again what he's done bad for the black community prior in his political history.
Yes,
now, when he said the N-word, I do want to be clear.
Don't you do it, okay? You don't got to clarify it because we didn't say it, and it's not the clip on here. Let people believe what they want to believe.
But I want to be like that was he wasn't dropping the N-bomb over
after the election. Okay.
Okay. All right. He's an asshole. We'll say
that. Yeah, he said it.
I like to fight lies with truth.
I know. Fine. We'll be fair because we promise we won't be biased. Okay, he didn't use it in the context that people think he used it in. He was quoting someone else that said it, and fine, we'll give him that.
Which is today, in this day and age,
if you don't vote for him. So that's
and Byrd, the guy that was a known segregationalist, and he spoke at his funeral. What people don't mention is Byrd
that he wasn't in the KKK and said it was one of the worst mistakes of his life after the fact. We know,
right? But Biden was friends with him back in the day. He was when he was in the KKK. Like, he
had a hood.
Yeah,
allegedly.
Jesus. Is it me echoing or you? By the way,
I'm not echoing.
Weird. Okay.
Are you echoing?
I'm hearing my own voice twice.
Is it coming through my? Is it because of my microphone right here?
It might be a little close. But that's okay. I have a pretty voice. It's fine. Might as well hear it twice.
How about now?
Check. Better.
Yeah, I turned my volume down.
You sandbagging son of a bitch. All right. What's the next one you got? I think this is the one on mass. I can't remember. I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up. I think this one was just seeming like complete fake crap, like everything else. But God, that last one that literally just tickles me. It's so funny.
That shit was sickening. I'm sorry, but he's got problems, dude.
I hit the audio this time. Yay. All right. You ready?
least twice a week in the beginning, 4 times a week, giving us the detail on what kind of progress is being made. And right now, they do the right thing. When they run into a serious problem, they halt the test. They don't continue until they figure out what the problem was. They're not there yet. And the most scientists say there's not likely to have a vaccine that would be available until the beginning of next year, into the spring of next year. And in the meantime, what I worry about is the same thing with Regeneron, which is a useful a useful tool. But what's happening is there is no plan to figure out how to distribute it. How many, we have 500,000, vials of it. Well, we don't have all the testing equipment. We don't have all the ability to get it to the people who need it. And what we should be doing now, and allegedly,
I like that he uses the word allegedly, but he literally goes, "We're just creating all this stuff. We have no way to get it to the people. We don't know how to." Yes, we do. We didn't just like. I'm not a big fan. Okay, I hate the idea of the vaccine, and he's going to get into something coming up pretty soon. But
yeah, I hate the idea of the vaccine too. By the way,
I don't know if you know this. He's about to say something where he would make it mandatory. But we'll get into that in a second. But ultimately,
run it.
Yeah. But this whole concept that we're creating all these things, like he thinks Trump and whatever, we're creating all these vaccines with no plan on how to actually distribute them. That's ridiculous.
Hey, off topic.
Yeah.
So, like in the Bible and stuff, in the last days when God's gonna come back and stuff, and they talk about the trumpets being blown.
Yeah.
Trumpets. Oh, mic drop. Mind blown. Trumpets. God sent. Go ahead. Let's do this.
it's happening, but I've not seen it yet, nor the docs that I've talked to seen it. There should be a plan when we have the vaccine. How do we distribute it?
And once we get it, if it's safe, if it's effective, will you mandate its use?
The answer is depending on how clear. There's vaccines, they say, have a very positive impact, and they're going to affect positively 85% of the American public. Or there's others say this vaccine is really the key. This is the golden key. It depends on the state of the nature of the vaccine, when it comes out, and how it's being distributed. That would depend on. But I would think that we should be talking about, depending on the continuation of the spread of the virus, we should be thinking about making it mandatory.
How could you enforce that?
Well, you couldn't. That's the problem. Just like you can't enforce measles. You can't come to school unless you have a measles shot. You can't. But you can't say everyone has to do this. But you would, just like you can't mandate a mask.
Technically, you
mandated masks.
You can. There's a mask mandate in most states, so technically you can, you dumb son of a biscuit.
But you can't say you can go to every governor and get them all in a room, all 50 of them as president, and say, ask people to wear the mask. Everybody knows.
And if they don't, fine.
And they don't, no, not fine. Then I go to every governor, I go to every mayor, I go to every councilman, I go to every local official, say, mandate the mask. Say, this is what you have to do when you're out. Make sure you encourage it being done. Look, George, you and I know, and I think you do too as well, the words of a president matter.
Absolutely.
No matter whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, they matter. And when a president doesn't wear a mask or makes fun of folks like me when I was wearing a mask for a long time, then people say, well, it mustn't be that important. But when a president says, I think this is very important, for example, I walked in here with this mask, but
Bro,
off the rails there. That's good on the mask part.
No. Keep it going, please.
Oh, you like this part? All
yeah,
right.
please keep it going.
All right.
I have one of the N95 masks underneath it. I left it in my dressing room, the room I was in before I got here. And so I think it matters what we say. And we're now learning that children are getting the virus, not with as serious consequences. But there's been no studies done yet on vaccines for children. So there's a long way to go, but we can make progress in the meantime and save lives. And the last point I'll make, if you listen to the head of the CDC, he stood up and he said, while we're waiting for a vaccine, and he held up a mask. you wear this mask, you'll save more lives between now and the end of the year than if we had a vaccine. It's estimated by every major study done from the University of Washington to Columbia that if in fact we wore masks, we could save between now and the end of the year 100,000 lives.
And avoid lockdowns?
And avoid lockdown. Yes, you don't have to lock down if you're wearing the mask.
Let's get a question on the economy. Anthony Argyrakis.
Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
From Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. It's a suburb.
Dude, this guy is great. Let me tell you.
Did you see how crazy his face was? I want to see if I can hold. Let me get that frame when he's like when he's holding up the mask at the end there, right there. Hold on.
The virus.
Do the mask thing, you dumbass.
Studies done yet on vaccines for children. So there's a long way to go, but we can make progress on the end of the year. 100.
Oh, here it is. All right.
And avoid lockdowns.
And avoid lockdown. Yes.
Hold on, wait for it.
You don't have to lock down if you're wearing the mask.
He looks like.
Hold on, wait. Say that right there because I'm going to take a picture of it and I'm going to share this.
Wear the mask. Wear the mask.
Hold on.
It's just the mask. Wear the mask. I don't tell you. Just wear the mask.
Oh, God. That's great. That is great. Oh, good God. Oh, this is too easy. I'll tell you.
But it's apparently not that easy because people think we're nuts for being Trump voters. Have you seen him? He is just, you know what? He's an asshole. Cool. He's my asshole. And if you think he's not sharp in comparison to Joey Baseman and Captain Panderpants,
bro, they cannot compare the two. President Trump is as sharp as a tack. How old is he? What, 73, 72?
22, I think.
Sharp as a tack. The man is moving around all over the country. He obviously doesn't need a teleprompter to give a speech. He answers every single question thrown at him. And
he spins, and he's able to spin it when sometimes he has to.
Yes, bro, and it's amazing to see. So if you have a problem on whether or not you're going to vote for Trump or Joe,
you're not American.
You ain't sane.
You ain't sane. Trump is 74 years old. He was dancing the other night too. All right,
yeah,
so you actually did a perfect segue, and then we're done with clips because you talked about Trump doesn't need a teleprompter. However, Biden just pulls out a notebook from his jacket pocket and still doesn't make sense. And I want you to listen to some of the numbers that he says, which are actually not numbers. They're thousand billions and thousand millions and million thousands.
Here we go.
This is where we talk about taxes.
Run it.
Cuts reduces taxes for the majority of workers. I would argue not enough. What is your plan for either extending the tax cuts for the middle class or creating a new plan that further reduces those taxes?
I carry this card with me. When I said the Trump tax cuts, about 1.3 trillion of the $2 trillion in his tax cuts went to the top 1/10 of 1%. That's what I'm talking about eliminating, not all the tax cuts that are out there. And by the way, if you just take a look, we reduced the corporate tax rate from 35%, and Democrats and Republicans who were in office thought it should come down to 28%. He reduced it to 21%. You have 91 out of the Fortune 500 companies not paying a single solitary penny. If you raise the corporate tax just back to 28%, which is a fair tax, you'd raise $1.3 trillion by that one act. If you made
Okay, we're gonna go back and listen to it again. But I just heard something he said, Cash. He said that 91%, 91 out of 100 of the Fortune 500 companies
aren't paying a single solitary penny.
So wouldn't that answer why Trump isn't paying taxes if he's part of the large? I mean, he literally. I didn't hear that the first time. But first off, I think that's incorrect. But if it was correct,
it's false.
Yeah,
it's false.
If it was correct, he was actually giving the reason why Trump. It's based on tax law. But regardless, did you hear the number he said? Because I'm gonna play it again.
$1.5 trillion. Yeah.
Okay, let's play it again. All right.
You have 91 out of the Fortune 500 companies not paying a single solitary penny. If you raise the corporate tax just back to 28%, which is a fair tax, you'd raise $1,300 billion by that one act. If you made sure the people making over 400 grand paid what they did in the Bush administration, 39.6%, you would raise another, it goes up to, let me get you the exact number here, about another $92 billion. So you can raise a lot of money to be able to invest in things that can make your life easier, make you change your standard of living by making sure you have affordable health care, by making sure you're in a situation where you're able to send your kid to school. And if you have a student debt, you can deal with it, making sure that your home, you can pay your mortgage. You got 20 million people right now.
Mr. Vice let me press you on that, though.
Sure.
You're going to raise the corporate tax. You're going to raise taxes on the wealthy. Is it wise to do even that when the economy is as weak as it is right now? Another 900,000 people.
That's a great question. Moody's did analysis of my detailed analysis of my tax plan and my economic plan. They said, I will in 4 years, Moody's, Wall Street, said I will create 18.6 million new jobs, good paying jobs, number one. Number two, and I'll increase, the GDP will grow by $1 trillion more than it would under Trump and 7 million more jobs than under Trump. And the reason is when you allow people to get back in the game and have a job, everything moves. Everything moves. Right now, you got the opposite. You had last year, during this pandemic,
You have coronavirus.
you had the wealthiest billionaires in the world, in the nation, they made another $700 billion. $700 billion. He talks about a V-shaped recovery. It's a K-shaped recovery. If you're on the top, you're going to do very well. And the other thing and if you're in the bottom, or you're in the middle or the bottom, your income is coming down. You're not getting a raise. I don't know what you do. You may get a raise. Hope you're a billionaire. But all kidding aside, but it's about growing the economy. And George, the way out, the reason why I'm so optimistic about economic recovery, more than I've ever been, is we have these 4 crises happening all at once, and one helps the other. For example, we're going to invest a great deal of that money into infrastructure. And into a green infrastructure. We're going to put 500,000 charging stations on new highways we're building and old highways we're building. We're going to own the electric market. You know as well as I do from your days, in the old days, where the president spends about $600 billion a year on government contracts. Everything from making sure they have aircraft carriers to automobile fleets for in the United States. If you and it's not violation of any international trade agreement, made in America. If you actually insist that whatever that product is, made in America, including the material that goes into the product, it's estimated we're going to create somewhere between another 4 and 6 million jobs just by doing that. But what's happening now? Under his trade policy, a lot of this is going overseas. You get a benefit from going overseas if you have much of it being made overseas. So if you send it overseas, you get a 10% tax increase on the product. If you make it in America and you bring it back, you get
Trump is doing that.
growth. If you bring back a company and you're going to open up an old
Plagiarizing yet again, huh,
you get
Joe?
a 10% tax credit for all you invested. That actually works, George.
So there's not going to be any delay on the tax increases.
No, well, I got to get the votes. That's why, the one thing that I have this strange notion, we are a democracy. Some of my Republican friends and some of my Democratic friends even occasionally say, well, if you can't get the votes by executive order, you're going to do something. Things you can't do by executive order unless you're a dictator. We're a democracy. We need consensus.
Got to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I hope I answered your question.
Heard a lot of those tonight, huh? Hey, but no, seriously, man. Trump, that was his whole thing. He said if they're going to outsource jobs, if you're going to take them jobs and move them over to another country, then we're going to tax you. You're going to pay a penalty for doing that. And see, there he is plagiarizing again.
He's essentially going, this is what we're going to do when it's already been done by Trump. it's just somebody put on the chat box, and I love my friends that are Democratic voters.
Without question, Crystal, without question,
Yeah.
by a landslide, it's going to be embarrassing.
Please God.
God willing.
Yeah, we're just like I think like I don't think my friends watch a lot of Biden's talks because I think they're strictly looking, Trump gets great ratings. Because I think a lot of people from the left watch him and they're looking for reasons to dislike him. And you can find those if you look. You can find little things, especially then if you watch the recap from CNN, Clinton News Network, and MSNBC. Like if you look at the right places, you'll find a reason not to like him. But I encourage anybody to just take an hour and watch this debate and find what you like about him. And if there's some facts in there that you like, research them and find out the facts that you like are actually bullshit.
Real talk. That's the truth, man.
I started all this out with Be the Change 4 years ago, but I started doing it this year with Cash with the intention of bringing people together for conversation. Still want to do that. But at this point, to me, and my importance on Being the Change is getting people to just pay attention that like, I just don't see I don't see the sense in the left. I see the issues in the right, but I don't see any sense in the left.
Well, here's the truth of the matter, okay? On both sides, neither party is perfect. I've been enjoying looking into politics, and what I see when I look at politics is you have good and bad, and that's on both sides. But the thing that stands out to me differently about Trump is that he is not a politician at all. He does not operate like any of them at all. And he's been the first politician that I've seen that has really strictly been about what's best for the country, what's best for you and me as American people, all the way down to God, literally. Like he gives the props to God. Like you gotta make sure it's okay with the boss first. Man said that on stage in front of millions of people, gave it to God. And he's not like any of these politicians. He stands literally for American values. You can't deny that. He's all the way America. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's why I like him. That's why I'm voting Trump, not because I'm a Republican, not because I strictly dislike the Democratic Party, which I really strongly dislike the Democratic Party. But not all Democrats. I don't dislike all Democrats. There are some Democrats that aren't really Democratic to me. You know what I'm saying? They're just Democrat by name. But the more you're looking at the left, the more you're seeing that they are either super far left or they're not really democratic at all. It's crazy to see how the Democratic Party, the state of it, the way it is right now, because they're either super radical or extreme, or they're not noticeable. Anybody that's not super extreme, you don't really hear about from the left. It's always the ones that got these radical socialist ideas that are always in the news, that are always in the forefront of everything. With the Republican Party, I got to say, even though they aren't perfect, they're doing a great job. The Republican Party is doing a very good job. They have morals. They have American values at the heart of what they push, at the policies that they're putting out. And I like that. So that's why I'm so interested in politics now. Like I am all the way involved with politics more than I ever have been. And it really interests me. Literally, like it gets annoying here in my house. The way that they, like Erica, like she'll get on me like, dude, last night she's like, I want to watch a movie. I'm like, oh, let's watch the Trump card. You know what I'm saying?
Which I'm going to watch before I go to bed tonight.
Yeah, watch it. But I'm all into it. And I stay researching. I stay studying. I stay reading. I stay watching clips. I stay trying to figure out what's going on. Just so I could come and bring it to you guys. Because a lot of you guys were like I was. Weren't really involved. Just starting to be involved. And it's important. It's important. And the dopest thing to me about all of it is being able to have the conversations with people that are on the other side of things. Like wherever I'm at, it's all Democratic ran. Where I live, it's mainly Democrats. And my goal has been to engage in conversation with them and enlighten them. That's why I wear that Trump hat everywhere that I go, to spark conversation, and it does. And I have been back to back switching people red. Not even red. I've been switching people Trump. You know what I'm saying? That's what it needs to be. That's what it needs to be. He's the best man for the job. I strongly believe in him. I believe that God put him in the position that he's in to help America right now. And I'm going to stand on that until I see something different from him. So, yeah.
I never thought, I mean, you and I have had this talk. And you were too, growing. I mean, I was a lifelong Democrat. I went to art school. I remember there was one time there was a girl that had that I went home with from a bar that was a friend of mine. And I remember seeing a George Bush sticker on her car. And I was like, oh my God, which is ironic now that I think about it, that I was so judgmental of character when I was a Democrat. And I didn't think about it then, but I remember like, oh man, it's just disgusting. I can't believe that, whatever. And then, time went on. I started my own business. I started looking at Obama. I was very excited to vote for Obama. I thought this was a great moment of change in the country and hope and change.
Great moment to prove you're not racist by voting for the black guy.
Well, it was a great moment for my mom and I talked about it, and she's like, I remember crying because my mom grew up in a segregated era. She grew up in Detroit, Michigan, in Southfield, which has now become a predominantly black neighborhood. When she was growing up, it was Jewish and black. And my mom was always attracted to black guys. And like, this was a big moment. She was always very liberal in her ideal system. And both her and I over time have started to realize that the shift of the liberal concept is respecting and loving everyone. Like when I hear the difference in our conversations, Cash, when you and I talk about Democrats, we go, I don't understand why they're thinking this way, how they're thinking this way. When people talk about us, they go, you name call, they'll call you names. They call me a racist. They call me an asshole. You haven't heard me out. Like I would love for there to be perfect equality. I think there's a different path to reach.
Love you, Ann.
And I think it's just fascinating the difference of what liberal and Democrat have changed to and become.
This is the first time I'm going to ever say this, and it's meant to make you guys laugh, okay? But I strongly wish that when Obama was running for his first term, that all the truly racist people that didn't want to be deemed racist, so they voted for Obama, didn't vote for Obama because they were racist. It was just a joke. I just wanted you guys to laugh, all right? Straight up. But no, seriously.
Can you put Trish's comment
right now?
Can you put Trish's
never got off? I'm just saying, huh?
Put Trish's comment up. Trisha McDaniels.
Trisha McDaniels.
Like 5 up, 7 up, 10 up.
Trisha
McDaniels. It's only about 10 up.
Got it.
Okay. All right.
What?
Read the question.
But Russo, did you spend the night after you found out about the girl's option? I don't get it.
The Bush sticker.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was lost for a second.
Speaking of options, before we do our final thing, there was something on tonight on YouTube. I don't know how to re-find it. Somebody sent me a link. I don't know where the hell it was, but it was a LGBTQ debate between the Walkaway campaign. Brandon Straka was there, and between people that were anti-Trump, and it was great. They were all having a good time, and it was fascinating to watch the two debate. One side had just hard facts of why they felt a certain way, and they were flexible. They were saying there is imperfect things in the Trump administration, but this is the way.
Where?
In the LGBTQ community, and they went through it, and actually they were. The Walkaway campaign side were very against the whole, why do we need to have the Q? Q by definition, queer is not a great word. It doesn't paint a great picture. We used to not want to be called it. So why is this part of the whatever? So they just had very interesting statements and facts. And the other side that hated Trump was all, I feel literally a lot of the sentences. I feel like we might be losing our ability to do things. I feel like, I'm afraid that none of it was based in fact. It was based in fear of what has been said could happen. And it was very interesting to watch the transgender and Brandon and the flamboyant dude on the end just go ham with facts They weren't like Brandon is, but they weren't polished, but they nailed every bit of information that they had, and they had a reason to feel that way. And they were not based in fear, and they were based in the fact they were proud of who they were and not afraid of who they were becoming. Anyways, it was great.
Yeah.
You want to
I'm
end?
not gonna say it. No, I was gonna say something nasty and
Don't.
probably inappropriate. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna be a good Christian and say, unite, don't fight. Be a street light. I gotta be quiet because my baby's sleeping, okay? So you can be loud, but watch how I do it. Unite, don't fight. Be a street light, because only you can be the change that you want to see in the world. And when you get too stressed out, remember that you have to pray, America. Yeah, brother.